Hi there again, everybody. Boyd back with you again, and welcome back to TrekWorks. Well, I thought I'd spend a few minutes tonight, guys, answering some questions that came in on the channel over the last month or so. I apologize for not getting back to you guys. I mean to do that from time to time, answer some questions that come in from you guys. And I've been really busy working on the refit, as you guys know. I was knees deep in that thing and kind of been neglecting you. So let's get some questions answered here tonight before we head out to the shop. I've got one that came in from Starfleet Model Academy. Wally over there asked me about the strong backs that were used on the refit and whether those were decals or whether they were painted on. And I wanted to say that that's pretty nice to see that you couldn't tell, Wally, but they are actually decals. They were sent to me from my friend Jerry over at Sci-Fi Model Action, HDATX over there. And Wally, I think you're a member over there, so you might want to PM Jerry if you're interested in some of those decals. Jerry's been making them for some of the guys over there, and everybody's been really happy with them. I absolutely loved them. They went on there perfectly. Jerry uses some really good high quality transfer paper, and the detail on them is fantastic. They look like they're painted on, as I said, when they're finished up. So you can contact Jerry if you want some more information about those. Jerry is also over on YouTube as HDA Model Works, so if you want to contact him there, you can probably get a hold of him there as well. And the rest of you guys that are out there that might be interested in those. Talking about Jerry a little bit more, Jerry also supplied me with the a lot of the lighting components that were used on this model, which a lot of you guys have been asking about. Those SMDs, or surface mounted diodes, that I used on the top and bottom of the saucer, those were provided by Jerry, and just absolutely, I adore those things. They're just fantastic for doing that floodlighting effect that we see, and that adds a lot of realism to the models, guys. If you can get that floodlight effect looking right, and all the other lighting details, you don't want to skip any of that stuff. That's what, the more lighting you can do and the more accurate you do it, that's what really makes the model look nice. And a lot of you guys commented how good the model looked on the video, and that's a lot of the reason for it. Of course, the paint work is important too, but getting the lighting correct, and you don't want to skip things. You know, the deflector changing colors, those are all extra effects and things like that, but the basic lighting of the model for the floodlights and the scale of the lights too, I wanted to talk about those a little bit more too. Jerry also sent me some small 1.8 millimeter LEDs in red and green for those navigation marker lights on the saucer. You can see behind me here, they're working, and those fit perfectly in the holes that are on the already in place on the saucer. And when you mount them in there, I mounted them just slightly recessed. Like if you look at the studio model, they're not sticking up at all. They're recessed inside the hole. And when the light comes out of them, it sort of spreads out, and you still see the light from angles, and it makes them look perfectly in scale on the model like it should, and it adds to that realistic look. If you put too big of bulbs on there, it just starts putting everything out of scale, and it doesn't look right. It starts to look more like a toy than it does a miniature. And so Jerry has those types of bulbs available too. And also at the for the strobe lights, he sent me some they're called lighthouse LEDs, and he wanted me to try them out. And those are what we use for the strobe light effects, and those are really cool because they put out a really intense amount of bright white, and so you get that actual like kind of camera flash look that you should get when the strobe light fires, instead of just a kind of a dull blinking on and off that you see on a lot of other models that are out there. They give you that really nice sort of camera flash look whenever they fire, and that again adds a lot to the realism of the model, and that's exactly what real ships have on them. You know, airplanes and other things that you see the strobe lights on, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to really get your attention. So Jerry also has those, so if you guys are interested, get a hold of Jerry and he'll tell you more about them, and he'll give you he'll hook you up on those things. And Jerry's just a really friendly guy. He's been really great to our community over at Sci-Fi Model Action, and helping everybody out, and I think you'll enjoy working with him, so I highly recommend him. Let's get to some more questions here. I've got another one from Brian Corley that came in over the YouTube channel, and Brian asked about using Future, and on models, does it need thinner? Well, I used Future for the first time on that one, Brian, on my refit, and I can't say I'm absolutely I loved it. It just worked perfectly on the it gave me the exact finish I was looking for. I wanted something not too glossy and not too dull, and something that would really help those Aztecs pop out. And it worked perfectly. Now, you don't need to use any thinner. It's awful thin by itself straight out of the bottle, so basically what I did is I poured it straight into my airbrush and went to work with it. Now, be aware that when you spray it, it's awful thin, so it can run on you if you're not careful, so maybe practice spraying a little bit with it and get used to it. You can also brush it on because it's self-leveling. If you brush it on and you let it sit for a little while and just observe it, you'll see all the brush lines just slowly disappear, and it'll flatten right out. It'll look just like it's been sprayed on when it's finished. The only thing that I recommend if you're going to spray it on in an airbrush especially, that you don't have any other type of residue in your airbrush. You don't want any lacquer thinner left over from cleaning it, or reducer from paint, or a little bit of paint left over in there at all, because it could react with that future. I'm not sure how, what it might do, but you don't want to take any chances with that. So make sure it's absolutely clean, and then of course, same thing in reverse. Once you're done using the future, make sure you clean your gun really good before you put any paint or any other type of solvent-based applications in there afterwards, so you don't get any kind of reaction the other way. So just kind of basic guidelines to follow. We've got one here from David Bombera, who asked me, where did I get the Aztec masks from? Well, you guys remember I started out on the build using the Aztec dummy masks, the black ones that you saw on the shot where I was putting them on the saucer. Now, unfortunately, I had some problems with those. They wound up lifting some of the paint off. And so what we did is we started looking around for an alternative, and I came across a set from Orbital Dry Dock, which I found over on eBay, and had those sent in, and I can't say I'm absolutely pleased as can be with those. Once we started using those, we had no further problems with paint lifting or anything like that, and we went ahead and were able to do much larger sections of the model at a time, due to the fact that Orbital Dry Dock, or Brett, who's also a member over at SFMA, he uses the tape transfer method. So you can basically take and cut out your masking areas that you want to start masking, and then remove the little sections off the sheet that you want the paint to be applied to. Apply your transfer tape, rub it down, lift the masks off the backing sheet, take that over to the model, lay it on there, rub those down, lift the tape off of there, and you've got your masks in place and all ready to be sprayed. You can do large sections at a time. And the nice thing about that also is they're already all nice and lined up. You're not putting individual ones on there trying to make sure they're all nice and straight and everything. So you can do large panels, and it saved me a tremendous amount of time. If you guys remember on those nacelles that I was showing you, the intense and intricate patterns that are on that, if I would have been going on with the Aztec dummies and putting those all on there one by one, I'd still be working on the model. It'd be probably a couple of months before I was able to finish it. That's how much time it saved me. So I encourage you guys to check those out. I think Brett's going to be introducing some more versions of those masking sets for different ships and things like that. So look forward to that and keep an eye out for it. And hopefully Brett will be making an announcement about that pretty soon. And I'm really looking forward. I'll be using his stuff from now on. It's really great, and I highly recommend that as well. And so let's see, what else have we got here? We've got one. Well, a couple of you guys were asking again about the cosmic colors, and let me explain what's going on with that a little bit, guys. The cosmic colors are something I talked about a little while back, about the paints that I use for my builds, and a lot of you guys have mentioned that you're interested in those. And I apologize for how long it's taking to get those out, guys. And I'll tell you what's causing the problem here. I use those paints in my everyday job as a professional painter, and I only have a limited quantity of that stuff. I buy it in small amounts because I'm a mobile. I operate a mobile painting service, and so I don't carry large amounts of that paint on my work vehicle. And so I'm working it out right now with my supplier to get those paints in larger quantities, because in order to fill the orders that I've been getting, I'll have to make 100 trips down to my paint store to keep up with the supply, and it just wouldn't be feasible for me to do that. It would quickly turn into a disaster. So as soon as I get everything worked out with them to where I can get more of that stuff on hand and be able to fill these orders, I'll be moving forward on that. And I appreciate you guys being patient. I realize some of you have to move on with your builds, and maybe you guys can try it again down the road on another project that you're working on. Everyone that's tried it so far, the feedback I've been getting on it's been really good, and I appreciate you guys trying it, and the great results you're getting with it. And I think everybody that tries it will be really pleased with it. So we'll work on that. Kind of along those lines, pretty soon here I'll have a official TrekWorks website up. And the website's going to have information on there about the paints, the availability, how much they cost, what sizes are going to be available, the colors that are going to be available, and along with that, on my building service, some information there for those of you interested in that want to find out how much the builds are going to be and how long it'll take and when I'll be able to start them and all those different things. I'm having to answer people individually right now to get you that information, and I think it'll go a lot quicker and easier if you guys can have a place to go and check that out and kind of get some information beforehand, and you can decide from there, if you want to contact me, if you're still interested, and we can talk about getting you one built. So there'll be information there about, with pictures of the models and the different levels that you can take them to as far as detail and the associated costs and all that, and some information about shipping and all those different things, and a lot of those questions will get answered for you. So again, coming soon here, pretty soon, look for the TrekWorks website. We'll get that going and get that up and running for you guys. So, okay guys, well that's about a wrap here for the, oh, I had one more question here. It's not from any one individual, but a lot of the same repeated question about the Canopy glue. Now the Canopy glue is just available at most hobby stores. It's very similar to micro crystal clear, only as I mentioned it dries a little bit less clear than crystal clear, so it's useful in things where like you don't really want to see in the windows. You want light to come through, but you don't want to be able to see, so it works great. And I showed you guys a little bit of putting those in the windows, putting that stuff in the windows on the refit up there, and it worked out really good. But you can also use it to fill light leaks, and I get asked that question quite a bit about how do you take care of the light leaks on one of your models. And so basically what I'll do is I'll use that same syringe with the Canopy glue in there, and I'll squirt it into the little seam or the crack that's showing a little bit of light. I'll wipe off the excess. It might take 1 or 2 applications of doing that before you completely fill that gap, and let it dry. And then I'll mask off the surrounding area and just come in with whatever paint color where the light leak is, if it's white or if it's that blue color that's up there around the neck where we had that little light leak. I'll just take my airbrush with that color and just start lightly dusting over it and letting it dry in between coats until it's gone. And that's how you take care of those guys. Very easy to do. In a lot of cases, if you just got a little small one somewhere, like one of the areas I'll point out that's typical on the refit, for example, is where the Bussard collector grills are there on the front. They're 2-piece, and where they join towards the bottom down there, there's always a little gap right there. And all you really have to do sometimes when you got just one of those little kind of twinkly light leaks that's coming through is just put a little bit of that Canopy glue in there and let it dry. And sometimes you won't even have to paint it. It'll just kind of fill it in there, and it'll diffuse that light to where the light just doesn't twinkle or come out of there anymore. And it fixes a lot of those little issues where you don't have to necessarily always go in there and use putty and start sanding and doing all that and wrecking your paintwork that you've got around there. That Canopy glue, guys, if you start working with it, has a lot of uses. There's other products out there I've seen people using, like Tulip and things like that, but the Tulip is a black, it's black in color or whatever, and so if you're going to have to paint a light color over top of that, you're going to have to put several coats of paint to hide that dark shade, and I'm not sure if it cleans up as easy as Canopy glue. Canopy glue's, water will wipe it right away on a damp rag, and I don't know how well, I haven't used any of the Tulip, so I don't know how well that cleans up. Tulip I think would be better for like on the inside of the model, if you're doing some of the light leaks on the inside, and you're not worried about how it looks, and you're blocking light leaks like that or filling in seams, it might be better. Or if it's a dark paint on the outside of the model, maybe it's okay, but I think starting out with a light color or actually transparent color, such as the Canopy glue when it dries, you kind of have more options as far as when you cover it. You can cover it really easily with a light paint, or of course if it's a darker color you can cover it right away. So that's what I recommend for that, guys. Okay guys, well that's going to be a wrap. We're going to get out to the shop now, and that's where the real action is. We're going to head out there. I've been working on some preliminary stuff for the Classic Enterprise from Polar Lights for John, the build-up for John, and we're going to go out there and take a look at what we've been working on. So let's head out there, and we'll see you out there in just a couple seconds, guys. We'll be right back. So here we are out in the shop, everybody, and you can see what's in front of you is the lighting kit for our Polar Lights Round 2 350 Enterprise, the Classic Enterprise that I'm building up for John. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit, guys. Some of you may be aware that around the forums and some other areas there's been reports that some of these boards have had issues with faulty chips and some areas of problem with the discs up here that I'll zoom in on for you. Sometimes they were a little slow to light, or they wouldn't light at all, or the flickering lights weren't working in the proper sequence and things like that. And Round 2 is aware of it, and they've been shipping out replacements. So what you want to do is, as soon as you get this kit, you want to check this first before you do anything else. There's no way to tell when you buy the kit if it's an old kit or one of the more updated kits. So you don't have any delay waiting for anything. You want to test this out right away, and if you find a bad one, you want to get a hold of Round 2 right away and report that, and they'll get your replacement on the way. So this is what we started off here tonight. We checked the wired everything up and checked it out. I'm going to plug it in for you. And John, I'm happy to report that your system here is working perfectly fine. You can see that in front of you here, the closest ones, we've got the individual two little LEDs there that are for the navigational lights on the sides of the saucer. And they're flashing at the exact rate they're supposed to, and nice and bright. And then I'm going to turn here and get you close to these Bussard lights. And you can see that we've got the individual twinkly lights going on in there, cycling all around. You can see all the individual bulbs are lighting like they're supposed to and cycling like they're supposed to. And so we're good to go with this. I'm happy to report that to you. And so we won't have any delay there. But like I said, guys, it's important to check that right away, because if you do need one, it'll take a little time to get a replacement. You don't want to be held up on your build. So just thought I'd get that out there to you. Okay, guys, well, we're going to come back tomorrow with the first part of the actual build of the model. We're going to get to, I'm going to start out on the bridge first. We're going to start doing our light blocking, and we're going to be working with the clear part this time. And we're going to start off with the light blocking and figuring out what we got to do to work with our photo etch parts that go in there, and what areas need to be painted and what not, and what modifying we might need to do to it. And we'll cover all that in tomorrow night's video. So that's going to be a wrap for this one, guys. I appreciate you guys following, and John, I hope you're going to enjoy this whole series. Like I said, I think it's going to be pretty cool to be able to look back on this when it's all done and have a record of it. And what I'm going to do too is I'll put together these little clips here. Somebody suggested it on the channel, and I'll send you a little DVD along with it when I send out your model. And that'll be something that I'll do for all the builds here for my clients. So you can throw it in your DVD player and watch it anytime you want. So I think that'll be pretty fun. Alright guys, we're going to wrap this. I'll catch up with you tomorrow night for some more action on the Classic Enterprise build. We'll see you then. Until then, everybody, take care and happy modeling, guys.